speaker is someone who was in the Army in Iraq, and his company was actually on the ground when the people in the helicopter were shooting down. And he's been an outspoken critic of the war. And let's give a big hand to Josh Stieber of Iraq Vets Against the War.
Well, thank you all for coming today and for showing support to Bradley Manning. And I speak today as somebody who was at the opposite end of the video that Bradley is accused of releasing. And throughout the media, and a lot of different people have voiced their opinions that committing such acts is not only a treason, but it's bad for the soldiers. It's not supporting the troops. And speaking myself as somebody who was in the company that's shown on the ground in the collateral murder video, I did a lot of interviews afterwards and saw the video and started talking about it. And it seemed like a lot of people were, quick to take the mindset that this was a horrible but isolated instance. And from my experiences and from the experiences of so many other soldiers and Marines and young people who have gone and been in these wars and been told that we were doing all these positive things for our country and that we were changing the world and making it a better place through using violence. We quickly found out that what was shown in the WikiLeaks video is by no means an isolated instance, and not even the worst instance from what I experienced while I was there. And now, a couple months later, that these reports from Afghanistan have come out, I think it shows, again, that what the nature of these wars are like is there for everybody to see, that it's not an occasional, civilian getting injured, but it's something that happens on a regular basis, and so much more besides that. And it starts with a training that is very dehumanizing. And again, you take all these idealistic young people and you tell them that they're going to do all these great things, and then you put them through training where we scream things like, kill them all, let God sort them out. And you go through that on a regular basis and then get put in a situation where you are threatened, but you're also living in the middle of a civilian population. And that's a recipe for disaster. And we've seen the outcome of that through these documents and through the video that Bradley's accused of releasing. And so some people, again, would say that releasing all that is not supportive of the troops. But I think continuing to send these idealistic young people into situations and telling them that we're accomplishing so much good in the world when the facts about it are clearly proving the opposite. These documents, again, there's so much in them, and that's another thing that they show. And it's time that we actually start redefining what it means to honor the troops and honor the people who want to make a change, and say that this is not the way to go about it, that as we're continuing the practices that the military is asked to do on a regular basis, that it's making the problem worse. These reports have shown that the number of people resisting has increased, and I think it goes back to the simple idea of doing unto others. And you just imagine your own community or your own family being at the other end of what was shown in the WikiLeaks video of them getting gunned down and somebody saying afterwards, oh, we're sorry that happened, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. I think if that happened in our own community, we wouldn't be so quick to say, oh, civilians die in war, that we would probably be pretty upset about it too. And that's continuing to go on a regular basis. So I speak on behalf of many young veterans and many older veterans too, who feel like we're being put in a unfair position, and that it's time again to redefine what it means to support the troops. And I'll also end briefly with expressing the views from people in Afghanistan. I've had a chance to get to know a youth group there pretty well. They're called the Afghan Youth Peace Volunteers, and so I asked them what their thoughts on all of this were, and they wrote a short letter, so I'll finish by reading this. The letter's titled Our Ordinary Hell, and they say, Dear America and the world, if these 92,210 war records had occurred in the States, and even just one American civilian killed, there would have been ample loud threats for justice and retaliation. But no, these happened in Afghanistan, and ordinary, war-tired Afghans know that the expected global response is who cares. Most people on the ground in Afghanistan would recognize how unsustainable, factional, corrupt, and violent this great game has become, but none would say it. Not the President of the USA, not the President of Afghanistan, not the leaders of the 43-plus coalition countries, not the UN Special Envoy to Afghanistan, and not the Taliban. But the 92,210 entries say it all. And they can no longer be refuted by history or the future. Any record of actual events can only benefit those struggling for truth. Admiral Mullen and Mr. Robert Gates went on to suggest that Assange may have blood on his hands. But Afghans are not fooled. We have seen, and we have eyes, and we have seen much blood. Whoever's hands have blood, we have an Afghan saying, blood cannot wash away blood. We ask fellow human beings to stop this childish blood-throwing and inhumane bloodshedding, whoever they may be. To shock your cynical ears, we, the Afghan Youth Peace Volunteers, would like to suggest that love is how the world should ask for peace. We plead with the leaders of our broken world to sit down like deep, visionary men and women, to reconcile deeply, to listen deeply, to think deeply, and to build relations of peace. And we urge our world to return to this love, for at worst, that can only bring everyone some dignity and meaning. Otherwise, these long wars will continue into our Afghan horizon and remain your special interest in our ordinary hell. Sincerely be at peace, and God protect you. Signed, the Afghan Youth Peace Volunteers. So in that spirit, and for the spirit of what Bradley Manning is being accused of doing, thank you all for coming today, and hope that we'll continue to keep those thoughts in our minds. Thank you.
Thank you.